IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we discuss the story of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners. Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories. Hope you're all well and keeping safe. On the podcast today, we have a returning guest and dear friend, Vaibhav Dewan, a traveler and host of the podcast Bab Beeti. So let's jump onto the episode and find out where Vaibhav is taking us to today.
Do you find yourself making routines and timetables but never actually being able to stick to them? Do you find yourself downloading productivity apps only to uninstall them in a few weeks? In that case, you've reached the right place. Hi, my name is Ashtin Doctor and I host the Habit Coach podcast, a podcast that helps you get all of this in order, set better routines and make better habits. And now, we're coming up in a Kannada adaptation as well. Make sure to check it out every Monday and Thursday on the IVM Podcast Network or on all major podcast streaming platforms.
So with that introduction, we'd love to welcome back our dear friend, traveler and host of the podcast Bab Beeti, Vaibhav Dewan. Vaibhav, welcome back to the Musafir Stories.
Hi Saif, hi Faiza. It's so good to be back here after that Andaman trip on the podcast, and I completely love all the episodes after that also. I mean, the kind of guests you get and the new places you discover, it's kind of travel goals for me also, because whenever I go to a city, I always look up at Musafir stories like a Wikipedia, whether somebody has gone to a city or not. So yeah, great work on Musafir stories, and congratulations on hosting it on IVM.
Thank you, Vaibhav. The feeling is mutual as well. We also really appreciate the work you're putting in. And for anybody wondering, Vaibhav has already done an episode with us on the Andaman Islands. Make sure to check it out. We'll include that in the show notes. And Vaibhav, like I mentioned, is also the host of Bab Beeti, a Pregnant Papa podcast. And Vaibhav, just give us an update about the podcast too. Last time you were just looking at season 2 when we recorded the episode on Andaman. How's Bab Beeti coming along?
So yeah, last time when I spoke to you, Seth, it was at the beginning of the season 2. And coincidentally now I am talking to you when I will be working on the season 3. So second season was all about a baby's journey from hospital to home, and third season is going to be raising a child in the first year of the birth, so going to pediatrician, getting the vaccinations done, the baby's reaction to medications and to family and society, how they want you to raise a child. All of that is coming up in the third season. Second season had a great response. I had a sponsor also on the podcast, which is something, it's a podcaster's dream to have somebody to back you up. So the idea was liked. And also what I feel is that my podcast inspired a lot of people who gave birth to a lot of babies in the COVID time. I think my podcast has inspired people in a wrong or right way, whatever you decide. It depends. So yeah,
we should give that disclaimer. Listen to Bab Beeti and this episode at your own peril.
Own risk. At your own risk.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, lovely podcast. It's a great take on parenting, and more so from a father's point of view, right? It's a great take. So definitely make sure to check out Bab Beeti. It's available on all podcast platforms, and we'll make sure to link it in the show notes section of the episode too. Now, Vaibhav, last time around it was Andaman Islands. This time, where are you taking us to?
Yeah, so last time around it was to the destination which was supposed to be our honeymoon destination. But this time I'm going to take you to a place which was near to our honeymoon destination. So on our honeymoon, we went to Sikkim and we covered north and the other parts, Lachung, Lachen, north of Gurdungmar Lake, and all of that part in Sikkim. That was that was our honeymoon. But this time, on our 6th wedding anniversary, we thought we will go to the part which we didn't touch. That was Darjeeling and Kalimpong in the states of West Bengal. So I'm very happy to take you and very excited to take you on this journey, because we were traveling with a 1-year-old child when you never know how the plans work out. Whatever was on itinerary didn't actually happen. We had to cut short our trip, which was a 9-day trip to about 6 days trip. But yeah, there was some modifications we made to our trip. So I'll tell you about all of that on the podcast today. So Darjeeling and Kalimpong is where I'm taking you, northeast in the states of West Bengal.
Wonderful. Looking forward to going to this Queen of Hills, as Darjeeling is fondly referred to as my many folks as well. Now, just in terms of geographical orientation, you did mention that this is in the state of West Bengal, and it's almost in the northern tip of West Bengal, in the chicken neck area of India, like we say. In terms of getting to Darjeeling, how would you suggest, and how did you get there, Vaibhav?
So there are two ways for anybody to get to Darjeeling. You have to get to the foothills, which is around Siliguri. So if you're going by train from Delhi or from north of India, then New Jalpaiguri, which is in Siliguri, is your train station, and from there you have to take a taxi or a shared cab. Second option is go to Bagdogra and again take a taxi, fly into Bagdogra. Bagdogra is managed by military, so get to Bagdogra, hold your excitement, do not take pictures because you can be caught. So get to Bagdogra, take a taxi and get to Darjeeling. It is about 2.5 to 3 hours drive up to Darjeeling. And the good thing about Darjeeling is that there is a small startup which has which is from Darjeeling, which is into cab sharing. It's called Viz Ride. So Viz Ride is one good app wherein you can save your money and you can get to Darjeeling at low cost. Otherwise, if you want to take a taxi either from Bagdogra airport or from New Jalpaiguri, you will end up spending 3,000 rupees one way.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you share a cab, it will be just 500 rupees a seat, which is pretty cost effective, and which we did while we were going, because as per the reviews which I read, their cabs they don't go sold out. So in a way, you are just paying 1,000 rupees for a cab for your own self.
Right. Okay. That's, I think, some great advice and some, a great travel tip too for somebody considering to do this on a budget. Now, just in terms of a little bit of historical significance about the place as well, right? Darjeeling. I hear that the name comes from a Tibetan word that's a combination of two words, Doje and Ling, and basically means the land of thunderbolt. So that's how the name came into existence, and I found that quite interesting. And Darjeeling has been or came into prominence around the time of the British era, right? When the Britishers were here, as their summer capital of sorts, of summer capital of more for the Bengal presidency from that time, right? The area of their headquarters of the east. So that way it came into prominence, and we'll also touch upon the importance of the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, which also played a significant role in the like rapid progress and development of the region. Just in terms of the background of the place too, what I looked up was that in the past, Darjeeling used to be a part of the Kingdom of Sikkim, right? The Kingdom of Sikkim, which was a known independent state back in the day, and it was the Gorkhas actually that annexed this land from the Raja of Sikkim, and eventually it was the British who fought the Anglo-Nepal wars, and after that, all of this region annexed by the Gorkhas was returned back, and as a gift, Darjeeling was given to the Britishers, and they utilized that to build basically their summer capital of sorts, given the one strategic location, and also we'll talk about how celebrates the climate of the region as well. So all of that kind of worked well for the Britishers and as well for the development of the region. So some quick background about the region as well. In terms of your itinerary, Vaibhav, tell us a little bit more as to how long of an itinerary this was planned for, and let's also dive into what are the things you planned on doing here.
Sure. My itinerary around this area was for about 9 days, in which I wanted to cover Darjeeling, Kalimpong, and some parts of Sikkim, but I had to cut it short, and we just did Darjeeling and Kalimpong. If you are traveling with a baby, then 6 days are enough. But if you are traveling on your own, 4 days are enough to divide between Darjeeling and Kalimpong.
Okay.
So I will give you a 6 day itinerary, which is going to be at ease, very easygoing itinerary, and something which will make you familiar with the place. Also, with people on this podcast, I will try to give you a glimpse of in the lives of people in Darjeeling, how they live. So yeah, I mean, 6 days is what I will say. If you want to spend and at ease, is good in Darjeeling and Kalimpong.
Okay, wonderful. And how would you divide this? Like, let's start off perhaps with day one, or just jump in and see what are the kinds of places one can experience.
Sure. So I will take you back how we started. So it was in the month of April. It was the time when West Bengal was going into elections. Taxi services around West Bengal, it was very hard to get taxis. So we had pre-booked our seats in a Viz Ride, which is a cab share. And we went up to the hills of Darjeeling, and on the way it was a lot of rain. So rains welcomed us. I had pre-booked Airbnb, which is another story, that one should not just book Airbnb without contacting a host. I had booked a beautiful 10 rated Airbnb, but it was not at all a child friendly. So if you are going to travel with a child, always make sure that you just call and contact the host about the washrooms, about how the rooms are, because see, the room which we got was fantastic. The location was perhaps the best location you would see in Darjeeling, because Darjeeling is now full of wires. It's full of hotels and the crowd, but this was little far off. It was around the ropeway, which is a tourist attraction in Darjeeling, and we were in a room which, when you open a window, you can see Kanchenjunga, but in around April time, the views are not that spectacular because it's cloudy or misty. So although we had a good view room with overlooking the tea gardens, and also checking out the ropeway, which was just above our head. Every day we used to see people coming in and going out on a ropeway. It used to look so majestic. And while staying there, we took a taxi around places. So our first day was just getting used to the damp, wet April rain of Darjeeling. We had local home cooked food from our hosts. There we had a chicken curry with a bit of dal and rice, and also we were carrying some food because we were traveling with a baby. So we always try to carry something so that the baby doesn't get a culture or a food shock immediately. So we kind of carried some food with us. So it was around Darjeeling Ropeway where we stayed. The first night was really nice and pleasant, and we woke up to the views of Kanchenjunga on the next day, which was cloudy and misty. But yes, from our window we could see a small Buddha, because this land is full of tribes, full of Nepali Hindus, and also the monks and the Buddhist monks. So we saw a small little monastery from our room, which had a big Buddha statue. So the morning was great, and when we woke up, we were served with a beautiful, aromatic, tasty Darjeeling tea, which is served without milk. It is golden in color, and that kind of made our morning. So we sat in the cafe. So it was a cafe cum homestay, and homestay had only one room. So we were served with this nice little cup of tea, and then we thought, okay, we will just walk around the place and we will see what all is around us where we are living. So one is the ropeway, and the other is a nice little school which has been covered in a lot of Bollywood films. And I'm told the film Yariyan was shot here. It's called Saint Joseph's School North Point. I think everybody should just go on Google and check out the building. It looks like as if you're transported into British past, and you look at this building which is grey in color and is made on a huge piece of land. Taking a picture outside this makes you feel as if you're standing in front of a castle. So it's a beautiful building which is of North Point School. And if I go a little further down from the ropeway, then there are a couple of nice attractions. Like there's a rock which is Tenzing Norgay rock, which is part of the Indian Mountaineering Institute. There's one rock which they have placed there. I mean, it's a rock which was always there, but they have placed the ropes and all around that. From Darjeeling, a lot of tribes come, and Sherpa is one of the tribes which is known for mountaineering.
Right.
Tenzing Norgay was a Sherpa, so it is in his memory that rock is there, and people just go and give it a go, and it's all you get harness and everything. So
Right.
quite a good experience if you're adventurous. We didn't do it because we had a child, but there's a small little bazaar which is just next outside this rock. So we had nice plate of momos, and if you're in Darjeeling, I think that is what you start your day with. Like, eat momos anytime. It's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and we kind of got the best of the momos ever. And around the same area, there is a place called Ramakrishna Mission. It's a ashram which looks pretty British in terms of the way the building is. Due to lockdown and everything, it was not open. But yeah, taking a picture around that, it was a beautiful sight. And also, if you go a little further on the same line, you will see a lot of tea gardens. So people were going inside the tea gardens. They were wearing Darjeeling local attire, and they were taking pictures around in the tea garden. Although we didn't venture into it because it was our first day, and we thought we will see a lot of other places where there will be tea gardens, and we will be asked to wear those
Right.
typical attire
Yeah.
for pictures. So we didn't do it. But then that was a time when we wanted to hire a taxi to go around. So that was our first day when we just moved around our place where we were living, and then we booked a taxi for the next day so that we can see the places around. That was
Okay.
our first day.
Okay, great. Yeah, a couple of good call outs here. One is obviously the ropeway, right? The Darjeeling ropeway. That's also a very popular tourist attraction. It gives you, like Vaibhav mentioned, a drone's eye view and an eagle's eye view of the whole tea gardens, the mountain ranges, as well as the valleys and the hills below. So if you can, just definitely check it out. Apparently, the longest ropeway in Asia as well. So worth your time there. And also the Tenzing Norgay rock that Vaibhav mentioned. Tenzing Norgay, obviously, as you know, he and Edmund Hillary. Yeah, Tenzing
Yeah.
Norgay, along with Edmund Hillary, scaled the Mount Everest. Were the first to scale the Mount Everest. And I also believe there's a Gombu rock, or I forget the name. Apparently, it was his nephew. There's a rock in his memory as well. Gombu Norgay, I guess, was his name, and he was the first one to summit the Everest twice, right? So that's also not far away from the Tenzing Norgay rock. So a few things to check out there, and important bit of Darjeeling's history and its attraction is also the Darjeeling tea, right? Like you mentioned, Vaibhav, it has a great story as well. Apparently, back in the 1800s, when there was a huge demand for tea and China had the monopoly of sorts in terms of tea production, that's when Britishers actually kind of smuggled some tea seeds from China. And Darjeeling, given its strategic location plus the nice weather as well, it was able to they were able to grow tea here, and even now it's one of the key areas where tea is grown. So you'll find a lot of these tea estates around Darjeeling. There's about 86 or so tea estates from the area. The Darjeeling tea is very, very popular and very pricey too in the international markets. So definitely,
Yeah.
when you're in the region, do check out the Darjeeling tea if you have a chance.
you almost end up spending around 3,000 rupees for a kg if you want to have a real
Yeah.
authentic Darjeeling tea. But the good part is that even if you don't want to spend that amount, if you want to have a grade 2, it is equally good, because the kind of tea which we drink in north or south, it's dust tea, it's CTC,
Yeah.
and we drink it with milk. But if you want to have the leaves, and even if you have a grade 2 of that, it is by far the best tea your palate will like. If you're a tea or a coffee drinker, if your palate is accustomed to liking and trying beverages, you will like a Darjeeling tea, because the notes, the notes are so good.
Yep.
And when you put those leaves in water and you just put it on simmer, they just become bigger. And when you drink that, it gives you that satisfying feeling that you're drinking something which you have seen and you have picked up. So there's one valley called Happy Valley. Usually, a lot of tourists go there to pick their teas, and lot of shops on the Mall Road in Darjeeling. There, almost every third shop is a tea shop. So you have to be really very cautious where you pick your tea from. That's a one tip which I want to give to all the tourists who are going to go, because everybody is selling tea there. It is their prime thing.
Yeah.
So you have to be very cautious of where you pick your tea from.
Different varieties of tea also, right? Like you mentioned, black tea is obviously the popular one, but there's also the green tea and the Darjeeling white tea as well. All of these are GI
Yeah.
tagged too. So very, very different from I mean, especially if you're from the south, etc., you might be used to drinking it with the milk. Um, Make sure to try out these different things. If you happen to visit to tea estate as well, they'll show you through the process and things like that. So anybody interested, there's a great history about the way in which tea in Darjeeling started out. So make sure to take advantage of those options too. But yeah, carry on, Vaibhav. You were going to mention perhaps about your second day's points.
Yeah, so this trip was not at all a pre-planned trip. Only the accommodation was booked in advance. So when we reached there, we hired a taxi, and hiring taxi in Northeast is really expensive. But yeah, if you have a skill of haggling, you will probably get the right rate. So you end up spending around 2,500 to 3,000 rupees a day for your taxi travel. And I was very fortunate to find a person who wasn't a taxi driver, but who was putting his car on tourism basis. The name was Sonam, and he was fabulous. He took us around, showed us just like a friend would show you around. So first day we went to a place called Rock Garden, and that rock garden has got a lot of flora and fauna, has got a lot of waterfalls inside, and we saw one Nepali film also being shot there inside, just in front of a waterfall. One thing about Darjeeling is, if you are a plant lover, you will love this place, because every household has some bits of plants, flowering plants and pots. If you love birds and flowers, you will love Darjeeling, just because the colors are so spectacular around. And people just, I think naturally they feel that they should buy some plants for their house. And when we went to Rock Garden is a garden which starts from the bottom, and it wants you to take you up. So you just climb up a mountain while you are in a garden, and on the top there is a waterfall. This place has got a lot of influence of Nepalis also. So Sonam, who was our taxi driver, he was playing Nepali rock in the car when we were driving, and Nepali songs also. So a lot of influence of Nepalis and other tribes also in this area.
I was just going to say, overall, even the place, right, in terms of the people, it's very diverse. Like you mentioned at the beginning, there's the Buddhist population there, but a huge Nepali population as well that is present here, along with obviously the influence of West Bengal. So there's a Bengali-speaking population too. So that way too, the place has a very diverse population, and obviously beyond these, you have the indigenous tribes too, right? The different tribes of the local tribes of the region.
Yeah. So this place, this rock garden and Ganga Maya Park in Darjeeling is not far from the main town, but it is down the hill and coming up is little steep because it's there are a lot of hairpin bends on the way. But all you do is that you see on the way a lot of tea gardens and also lemongrass grown around the tea gardens. So we picked some lemongrass so that we could even drink with our morning cup of tea. The experience to rock garden was okay, and on our way back we went to Dali monastery. It's about 5 kilometers away from Darjeeling main town, and this monastery has got a museum which was just launched in February. So we went in
Okay.
April, but there is a new museum which has been inaugurated inside, which talks about history of the monk who came to Dali monastery to chant or to pray for the first time. We were very fortunate enough to get inside the monastery and to witness the evening prayer. A lot of
Okay.
lamps were lit around there, and there was a sound of Tibetan drums. Also, we went around the monastery to have a coffee and hot chocolate in their newly built cafe. So the monks are really modern, to be very honest, Seth. I
Okay.
mean, they wear the robe and they have an iPhone in their hands. They're very welcoming, and also the museum which I was talking about is so modern that they talk about the culture of people living in the ranges of Darjeeling, in the locality of Darjeeling. So they talk about the tribes like Sherpas, Lepcha, Bhutanese, all those people who make Darjeeling together, who bring Darjeeling the place together. They have spoken about that in their museum. And also it also carries the museum also has a Dell laptop of 90s or 80s, which looks like a fax machine inside this museum. A very
Okay.
interesting place, newly opened. I think everybody should just put it in their wish list that when they go to Dali Monastery, they should visit the museum.
Okay, yeah, definitely sounds very interesting, and a lot of monasteries as well, right? Other monasteries as well for anybody looking to get a first-hand experience. Some of the ones I came across was Ghum Monastery. That's also one of the older monasteries in the region. There's Salugara Monastery, Alubari Gompa Monastery, Bhuti Basti Gompa. So a lot of monasteries. So if somebody is here for a longer duration, you could definitely delve into a little bit of the spiritual side of the place as well, right? So definitely make sure to include that in your itinerary, and depending on your time, you could also try out visiting different monasteries. Now, where from here, Vaibhav, you're still on your day two, and you've done the rock garden, and you've also done a monastery. Where next to? What is the plan?
So next, I will take you to the place where everybody wants to go when they go to Darjeeling, and that is the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway. A look of that, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So as soon as you land in Bagdogra and you cross this town of Siliguri, you start looking at a small little narrow gauge track which runs with you up the hill. So it's very hard to imagine a railway going up the hill.
Yeah.
So Darjeeling Himalayan Railway is one track which runs from Siliguri, which is New Jalpaiguri, to up to Darjeeling Bazaar, and it is 88-kilometer run, which takes about 8 hours for somebody to go. But right now it's only a small route which is open right now, which is from Darjeeling Bazaar to Ghum station, which is 7 to 8 kilometers. And on the way there's a place called Batasia Loop.
Yep.
Now Batasia Loop is a very popular loop, and that is a place where the famous song "Mere Sapno Ki Rani Kab Aayegi Tu" Rajesh Khanna, that was picturized, where he was getting off and on the train. And this place is around 5 kilometers away from Darjeeling. And this place has got a memorial there for in the memory of Gorkha soldiers
Yep.
of Indian Army. And also, just a quick thing which I want to tell you is that when you enter Darjeeling in the region, there's a big board says that welcome to Gorkha land. The people of Darjeeling, they really are passionate about their identity, which is Gorkhas and being Gorkha. And there have been a lot of protests around having this place called Gorkha land. So yeah, so Batasia Loop is one place which is where the railways goes into spiral, and it is a beautiful park with a lot of plants and flowers around. You can sit and you can enjoy the look of the railway.
Yeah, definitely, and it is it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site for a reason, right? Obviously, very unique and engineering marvel as well, given that the train tracks are built at such a height, and like you said, they also scale up the mountain, right? So that's a engineering feat in itself. Built in 1881, so that also is very, very commendable, right? Back in the day, it's been around for a lot of time, and like we mentioned at the beginning, very closely tied to the development and the progress that Darjeeling received after the railway line or the railway network was built. That's when it shot into prominence and development. And yeah, how can one forget मेरे सपनों की रानी कब आएगी to Rajesh Khanna and Sharmila Tagore. So that's also very, very iconic. So if you get a chance, just plan it
And
around.
also Barfi.
Barfi, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, also
More
Barfi was
recently.
also shot here. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of movies have been shot in the area. Barfi being one of them, and also reminds me. Even I think it was Shah Rukh Khan. I think they did a song for Raju Banga Gentleman in the area, and he also shared the story about how he took his wife for his honeymoon here back in the day. So
Oh wow, I didn't
still,
know about
yeah,
it.
yeah, he said that he fooled her that he's taking her to Paris and brought her to Darjeeling. I think he's just bluffing, but yeah, there was a story that he brought her here to their honeymoon. So a lot of important movies have been shot as well, and you'll also probably notice more recently, Barfi has a lot of these iconic locations, including the Darjeeling Clock Tower, if some of you can remember. So a lot of places to check out, and also just going back and touching upon the Batasia Loop and the Gorkha War Memorial, right? Like you mentioned, I think an important thing to call out is that Darjeeling, along with Kalimpong and a few of the neighboring places, they're actually autonomous right now. They're being administered by the Gorkha Territorial Administration, GTA, I believe is what it's called as. And yeah, there's always been this ongoing ask for separate statehood, but right now where it stands is it is being autonomously run by the GTA. So important things to watch out, and you pick up on a lot of things as well. The proximity and the people, right? The Gurkhas also form a very important part of the region, and this ask for statehood, it goes back to a few years. So a lot of things to kind of learn and understand about as well. And after having experienced the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, what is on your mind next? Vaibhav, what is the plan?
Yeah, so there's a beautiful pagoda in Darjeeling, and it's not far from the main market. It's called Japanese Peace Pagoda. So many years back, there was a monk from Japan who came here to Darjeeling, and there's a peace pagoda made for him, by him, and by the community. And it's white in color, stands tall in front of the beautiful trees around Darjeeling, which are, usually pine and fir kind of trees.
Yeah.
So this Peace Pagoda is another nice place to visit. There are three sections around here. There is a pagoda, there is a temple. So one must visit this place just to see, how the monks have kind of brought a lot of culture to this place.
Yeah.
But another main attraction to this place which we missed out was Tiger Hill. Tiger Hill is a place from where you can view early morning Kanchenjunga. But
Yeah.
because the time we chose to visit wasn't great enough, we skipped visiting Tiger Hill. Maybe next time when we have our son who's little big, he grows a bit, then probably we will visit again Tiger Hill and Darjeeling to view Kanchenjunga. The best time, it is said, to visit Darjeeling and Kanchenjunga is around September, October, when you can see the range clearly.
Okay.
We couldn't see it from our room, which was a Kanchenjunga facing room. But yeah, so
Yeah.
Tiger Hill is one place.
Yeah, definitely. Kanchenjunga Mountains and the range, it forms an important part of Darjeeling's identity as well, and is usually a part of everybody's to-do list, right? When in Darjeeling, Tiger Hill is a good place to check it out from. But I believe there is, even if you're here, I guess, good time of the year, you can also get good views of this from the Japanese Peace Pagoda that Vaibhav was referring to
Yes.
earlier.
Yeah.
But overall,
Yeah.
right, the views are just brilliant. It gives you a view of the Kanchenjunga mountain, most importantly, the third highest mountain peak in the world at 8,586 meters. So you have to get there early, though. From what I've seen, people get there like
Yeah.
3:30,
So
4 in the morning.
correct. Yeah. The taxis will come to pick you up at around 3:30. So one of our drivers only told us that if you want to go to Tiger Hill, then you have to be ready by 3:30.
Yeah.
And when you are traveling with a child, you only sleep by 3:30. You don't wake up at 3:30.
Yeah.
So we thought we will give it a miss, and also we were hearing from couple of other tourists that it's very hard to get a view because it's so misty and windy
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to also pack very accordingly when you are going to Darjeeling. It can rain anytime, it is cold anytime, so you have to at least have one jacket with you when
Yeah.
you are traveling to this part.
Yeah, definitely to the hills, and also the view, right? Just from Tiger Hill and maybe even a few other places in Darjeeling that it offers. Just that transformation when the first rays of light fall on the mountains and how it slowly transforms from darkness to this golden
Yeah.
color. It's just magnificent, and also it's popularly known as the Sleeping Buddha. Apparently, the view that you get from there, it's just the three peaks. It appears that it's almost like a sleeping Buddha a type of a formation, the peaks being Mount Kumbhakarn, one of them, Mount Pandim, the other, and obviously Mount Kanchenjunga being the third one. So that's also something important I found. But overall, just getting the view from there is absolutely brilliant. If you time your visit according to maybe just a good time in the year when the ranges are clear, definitely something to check out.
Yeah, and you will find a lot of taxis and tourists going towards that, so it can become also very choco-blocked at that time. So
Yeah.
just plan it in advance.
Yeah, it's packed during the mornings, especially when the season is good. So make sure you plan it accordingly. And also quickly touching upon the Peace Pagoda, right? Vaibhav, this is apparently, we actually had another Peace Pagoda in one of our previous episodes as well in Rajgir. It's a set of about 70 peace pagodas that have been built across the world by this Japanese Buddhist Nipponzan Myoji organization, and it was basically the message to spread the message of peace in the aftermath of the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombings, and overall just spreading peace in general, right? It's a part of the series of those 70 peace pagodas around the world. So that way also it's interesting. Obviously there's subtle differences between the different pagodas around the world, but if you're here in Darjeeling, make sure you check it out. The huge white structure along with the Buddha sculptures inside, it's just magnificent. Something to make sure you cover off, and obviously you get great views of the mountains as well from here. So that's another reason to cover off the Peace Pagoda as well. All right, let's take a quick commercial break at this point, and we'll be right back on the other side.
If you're a cricket fan, check out Edges and Sledges, India's favorite cricket podcast.
The podcast focuses on Indian cricket, the IPL, and has a ton of banter both on and off the field.
We talk about the week's biggest cricket stories with current and ex-international cricketers, coaches, or sometimes just between us.
And it's hosted by me, DJ.
Me, Varun.
And me, Ashwin.
New episodes release every week.
You can catch us on the IVM Podcast's website, app,
or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast.
All right, Vaibhav, what's up next now? What place are you going to discuss and talk about?
Now let's talk about food.
Yeah, by that time, I'm sure you're hungry going from point to point. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about the food choices you had and what are the things you tried out?
Probably anywhere you will look, you will see momos or maybe some pakodas. But yeah, momos for sure, and momos with chicken, with pork. I say if you are in Darjeeling, you should visit the Mall Road and also the bazaar area of Mall Road. Old
Right.
structures, pointed tops, conical shape rooftops. The place is called Chowrasta, and it is for for the reason like Char Rasta. From
Right.
here, the place opens into four ways, and there are old shops which are from the British time. One of them is called Oxford Book and Stationery Shop. Then there is a really nice old heritage shop of 1890. It's called Habib Malik and Sons, selling all the artifacts. And also, when you are here around, you will see emporiums of all the northeast states. You will see something from Manipur. You will see something from Tripura. You will see something from Sikkim. So yeah, this is kind of a cosmopolitan bazaar which has got everything from the northeast. But one place which I think everybody goes wherever you are from is called Glenaries. It's a beautiful British style cafe which serves steaks, continental kind of food, and has got a nice bakery. So if you love your cakes, buns, and bakery stuff, it is a must go place. It is always packed. They have got 3 floors. One is a restaurant, one is a bar, one is a bakery. But the views from Glenaries, they are amazing. You just look at the whole of Darjeeling from their terrace restaurant, and most of the sheds you will see are there in green color from that view. So Glenaries is one good place, and outside Glenaries they have put a big board which has written hope on it. Sends a lot of good vibe around it. It's a board which has got a lot of small bulbs in it, so it illuminates brightly in the evening. So one place for sure is Glenaries, and as soon as it hits 7 o'clock in the evening, most of the shops they get shut, and lot of momo guys, lot of people who are serving momos, and especially women of the house, maybe they all come out with their steamers, and you will find a kind of a party vibe around on the lane, because you will see people singing. There are musicians who are playing guitar around the streets. So it's a happy vibe in the evening on the streets of Chowrasta. And one thing very interesting to tell you about Darjeeling is that there's this local spice called dale. It's a
Okay.
chili. It's a local chili. Dale is probably not as spicy as Bhut Jalokia, which is called as world's spiciest chili. But it is definitely not less. So I had chance to eat dale, and it was really fiery, I would say.
Okay.
And they usually use dale in almost all their preparations for making the momo chutney.
I see.
And whenever I used to have a momo and momo chutney, after walking about half a kilometer from the point where I had momo, I would always see a poster which had written piles, and get rid of piles. So I could kind of I could
Read
kind
in
of
between the lines.
yeah, read in between the lines. The more the momo you eat with that chutney,
Right.
you are going to a doctor who will treat you for piles. And this is what I asked my driver also, that why do I see so many momos and piles poster around here? And he told me, sir, when you are going back to home,
Yeah.
that this is the only memory you will have with you.
I hope not.
I hope not, yes.
Yeah.
So beware of this chili. We carried some Darjeeling pickle and dale home.
Okay.
I still have it after having them for about 6 months in the house, because I just pick one chili and consume it very carefully. Yeah, it has got good kick. It has got that spice level, but yeah, it is worth trying.
Okay, try it on your own risk, I think.
Correct, again.
But yeah, local chili, so definitely worth trying out. And a few other important places, like you called out, right? Glenrys is obviously a very iconic place and eatery for everyone to check out if you're in the area. A couple of other popular ones are Keventas is another one from the old time, and like you mentioned in the film, in the movie Barfi as well, the rooftop restaurant where he's trying to speak with Ileana, and from where she actually sees him like fixing the time on the clock tower and all of that. It's at Keventas, so that's a popular one. A couple of others like Margaret's Deck that also has some brilliant views, just because it's strategically located and has a rooftop type of a restaurant. Kunga or Kanga, I don't know how, it's probably Kungas. That was another one along with Nutmuls. So popular local eateries, some of them sweet, some of them just restaurants where you can go and dine out. But yeah, a lot of places shut down early, so just have that in mind. Even if it's shutting down early, like Vaibhav said, there's always the Momo guys or the Momo walas that come out later on the street, so you always have that option if nothing else. Any other food options you tried out?
Yeah, so also around the taxi union or taxi stand, you will find a lot of people selling street food. They are mostly fried chicken or maybe fried Nepali dishes. So that is also one place where you can go and eat. That's also decent to have. We also tried a couple of dishes around there. Also, there is one nice happening cafe. It's called Himalayan Coffee. And they have very good coffee. We tried the coffee, and also we bumped into a celebrity also there. So singer Sona Mahapatra was sitting right next to us while we were having our waffle and coffee there. So it was a good spot to unwind for a while and have a good coffee. Also, if you are into drinking, they have their own rice beer, which you will not find at a liquor store. But if you have contacts with the local or maybe a driver, and you ask for rice liquor, which is brewed at home, that is also worth trying on your visit.
Okay, yeah, some interesting call outs there. Wonderful. Yeah, now with your tummy full, I guess, any other places like on this day or in general, like where do you want to go off to next?
So far, we have seen almost everything around Darjeeling.
Okay.
So it's we have covered monastery, we have covered the railway, we have covered the Batasia Loop. But yeah, I mean the place is so charming that you can even stay 2 days or 3 days more. There are a couple of temples also around which you can go and pay a visit to.
Sure.
But I would say that if you have extra time, do visit Ghum. There is a Ghum museum which is around the railways. There is a beautiful temple called Mahakal, which is up Chowrasta. We went up till there, but then when we saw there are about 120 or 100 some stairs, we didn't climb up because we were tired by that time. But yeah, I've left a lot of things for the next time when we have a child who's grown up. So maybe I'll visit back again.
Yeah, definitely. This is apparently on Observatory Hill. That's what this little hill is probably on which the Mahakal temple is. Very close to, like you said, right, the Mall Road or the Chowrasta. So make sure you check that off as well. Cool. So should we jump on to your Kalimpong part of the itinerary now? Yeah.
Yes, so from west of Bengal, now we go a little further to east, which is 50 kilometers from Darjeeling. We headed to Kalimpong. And when we headed to Kalimpong, we had no plans of what we are going to do in Kalimpong. Also, when we went to Sikkim for our honeymoon trip, we were told that Kalimpong is also one place which is nice to visit. So we thought, okay, why not do it this time? So in Kalimpong, we stayed in Mayfair Hotel. It is one of the best hotels around there, and we got a good deal also while staying there. So in about 4,000 rupees a night, we got a good room for a night. And also the purpose of staying there was not to do much, just to relax around and just see the place on the day one. So from Darjeeling to Kalimpong, there are a couple of places which your taxi driver or however you're going, you cannot miss. One place is called Lama Hata. The place is full of pine trees. It is a beautiful place. As soon as you will enter that place, you will see Buddhist flags flowing around. And that is a place where you can again make a pit stop and you can have some momos and also a local drink, which is a local rice beer or local millet beer, which you can have on the way. It's not that alcoholic, but because it's brewed at home. But yeah, it is something which is very local and is a must try. Then from Lamahata, you go past Tista River. Around Sikkim, you see Tista everywhere. And this place, Triveni, is a meeting point of three rivers around that area. So again, it's a beautiful spot to look at the valley and
This
also.
is en route, you said, right? From Darjeeling
Yeah,
to...
it's en route
Okay.
from Darjeeling to Kalimpong.
Okay.
And the next, as soon as you hit the Kalimpong hills, you visit a different kind of a park or a nursery which is full of cactus. So there's a cacti park in Kalimpong, and a nursery is made around this. It's called Pine View Nursery. It's a spectacular view because you will not imagine that there will be something like this. You see the finest cactus nurseries in Asia in Kalimpong. And about 2,000 varieties of cacti you can see there. If you want to even buy, I think you can buy it from their nursery. But yeah, it is interesting to know that Kalimpong produces about 80% of India's gladiolas and is an important orchard growing area. Quite interesting. And if you are planning a trip in October, you will get to attend the famous flower festival also. But yeah, do check with local listings if it is happening.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, even I was surprised by the orchids and like apparently horticulture is a big thing in Kalimpong, along with ginger as well. Between Sikkim and Kalimpong, about 15% of India's ginger production comes from this area. So quite interesting.
Another interesting place where we went was Dr. Graham's home.
Sure.
So in 1900, there was an orphanage and a school which was made for the destitute Anglo-Indian children. And this place has got old clock towers which are not working. It's an old building which needs a lot of restoration. But when you see them, it looks really nice because it's spanning over 500 acres of lush landscape.
Right.
And it has got a church also at the very end. But yeah, we didn't visit that far. But yeah, looking at the church from the building was magnificent.
Yeah, apparently there was a lot of Scottish missionaries that came here early on during the colonial period, and a lot of popular educational institutions, right? It's popular for educational institutions as well. Dr. Graham's Homes School is one of them, St. Augustine's, St. Philomena's, St. Joseph's, Scottish Universities, Mission Institute. So a lot of these educational institutions in this area are popular, and children or students from around the areas as well come here for their education. So that was one thing that I found pretty peculiar about Kalimpong as well. And some colonial houses also, right? Like you're saying, some beautiful colonial structures. Morgan House and Crickety. I saw a couple of those that were really beautiful. And if you have the time, perhaps make a quick visit to these places as well. And even a very important army base, right, in Kalimpong. I don't know if you heard about that, came across that, Vaibhav.
Yes, we passed by that. Yeah, we went to a monastery. Which was crossing through the army base, and there was a gate which was called Dewan Dwar. So I just got out of that and I kind of marked towards it because it's my last name, Dewan. So I was very fascinated to see that. And about Morgan's house, I've heard that local people say that it is kind of a haunted house. Although West Bengal tourism, they give this house for rent also, and it is across the golf course, army golf course. We were en route to Durpin monastery, and that is when you cross by the army area and all of this.
Yep.
The monastery we went in Darjeeling, we could enter that, but Durpin was closed for tourists because of COVID. Nice places, but Kalimpong, I would say, is just one day of tourism around. Rest of it is all about, taking a rest, taking the views. But one thing which I really want to mention here is that the food we had in Kalimpong, we went to a Bhutanese restaurant. And it was our anniversary day when we visited this Bhutanese restaurant, and it was the first time when we tried Bhutanese food. It was also a interesting experience. One tip which I want to give to all the listeners is that these places have got small little villages around them. Just go out and try to explore and ask the taxi guys to take you to small little quaint villages around. Darjeeling and Kalimpong, they are overtly commercial. They have hotels and all. But places around Kalimpong where we wanted to go but we couldn't go is a small village called Rishyap and Lolegaon. These are the two places. Also, there are a couple of places around Darjeeling. One is called Mirik and Kursong, which I told about earlier. These places, if you have time, do visit these places because they are not commercial yet. You will find some nice trails around which you can take for a trek. You might find some lakes around. But yes, it is something which is in my head. I know the places around which I will probably go back and explore next time when I'm on my own, or probably I get some support from my child that okay, I can go out and I can explore however I want to. So it was a very comfort travel, I would say.
Yeah. Either way, it was really, really great listening to you, and whichever way you choose to do it, solo or with Subhav when he's grown up, we look forward to it, Vaibhav, and don't forget to come back to the Musafir stories and share those experiences. It's been wonderful talking with you as always, and looking forward to following your travels.
Thank you, Saif, and all the very best, and I really hope to travel with you. Our last time was long back in Pondicherry.
Yeah.
Let's see when we can catch up again.
Yeah, most definitely. Look forward to that. Thanks so much, Vaibhav. That was yet another great episode on the Musafir Stories. Make sure to show us some love by sharing the podcast with your friends and family. We are on Instagram and Twitter at Musafir Stories. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM podcast app or the website. Follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.
Hey everybody, it's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Advertising is Dead, Varun talks to Paul Ravindranath Ji, Program Manager, Developer Relations, and Head of Google Accelerator for India. They discuss the startup ecosystem and how Google is enabling innovation through this program. On Shunya One, Sheila Datti and myself talk to Abel Joseph, founder and CEO of Aisle. We discuss how Aisle is a truly Indian dating app. It's not so much as a dating app as a matching app. It's a really interesting conversation. You should definitely check that out. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav uncovers the hidden injustice in India's languages and how it shapes the way we travel and interact with people. On the Life Manifesto, Zarina debunks leadership myths that are popular amongst people. And on Khel Niti, Rajiv Mishra, Nikhil Chopra and Ayaz Memon discuss Australia winning the T20 World Cup. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, do check out our various YouTube channels. You can catch them on IVM Podcast/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quota, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Slay Coffee, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Namaste, this is Cyrus Brocha. I am part of the government cancel culture program to remove rubbish off all the different streams available. So what we have is all the collected rubbish we put together on our show. It's called Cyrus Says. It's on IVM Podcast. You have to watch it and listen to it. It's on our app. It's on our website. It's on the YouTube channel. It's on Facebook. There are many different ways. Don't bother me and ask me how. You have to find out. We talk to different personalities. Many of them are known. Some are just people we meet downstairs and invite them up for chai. But the point is, it's fun and it's very therapeutic. So please join in and listen to Cyrus Says.